Roy Harriman here with Vaughn Baker, president of Strategos. I've got him on the phone as he's out consulting, doing security work across the nation. And the reason we're talking today is that we're here on the heels of an extremely violent and frightening weekend across America with bombs or threats of bombs in New York, New Jersey, and a cold-blooded knife attack at a Minnesota mall. And what makes these different from several recent attacks is that it hits all of us where we live. A seemingly routine trip to the mall, walking down the street, and the next minute someone's bleeding in an emergency room if they're lucky. And so what we try to do here at Strategos is not analyze events in the same way the media does, but to look at them in terms of personal safety and security for individuals and organizations. So Vaughn, in light of that, what lessons are there for us here about being alert and being aware, whether we're at the mall or walking down Main Street with things like this going on?
Sure. Well, it focuses on a principle and a concept that we frequently talk about, and that's just general awareness. And awareness is something that is a God-given gift that all of us have, and it's something that's built into us, but where most people fail is either don't pay attention to those signs or clues or indicators that something's not right about a situation, or they rationalize what they see away. They may even see, well, that's kind of strange, and then they attempt to come up with an explanation for something that appears to be strange rather than just accepting it or accepting the circumstances for what they are and responding appropriately. So that's really what we're talking about here in both of these types of incidents.
Now, you mentioned offline, Vaughn, an acronym regarding particularly the bombs, which I think, as we understand it right now, were homemade bombs, and it was HOT.
Yeah, that acronym HOT, H-O-T, is when we're talking about suspicious objects awareness and suspicious objects response. We try to keep in mind that simple acronym HOT, and the H is the item that you're seeing hidden. Is it hidden behind something? Is it hidden next to maybe a vending machine or maybe next to a dumpster? And that kind of covers the H. The O of the HOT acronym is the object obviously suspicious. In the incident in New Jersey, particularly with the most recent backpack of pipe bombs that were found, some citizens located the backpack. They picked it up, and when they did, they noticed wires coming out of the backpack. So that would fall under the obvious. That's obviously suspicious, and they immediately put it down and did exactly what they should have done, notified the authorities. And then the last letter of that acronym, T, is typical. Is the item that you're seeing typical for the location that you're seeing it? In other words, if it is an abandoned backpack, and it's just found maybe sitting next to a mailbox on a public street on a sidewalk, obviously that's not a typical location. Or if it's in an airport, is it a piece of luggage? Obviously, we get told frequently that our luggage we're to keep with us at all times. So if we see unattended luggage, that's something that's not typical for an airport. So if we just keep in mind those three words: is the item hidden? Is it obviously suspicious? And is the item located in an area that's typical for that particular item? Then that really helps us determine if that's something we need to notify authorities or people in leadership about.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to be oblivious and just go throughout your day, but we can't afford to do that.
Absolutely.
What about the mall scenario where someone began carrying out cold-blooded, apparently random stabbings of people? The mall, or even just a large department store, is a place that we frequent without usually thinking about something like that happening. What kind of awareness can we bring to a situation like that?
Well, again, we're talking about a knife attack here. That's not going to be something that you're actually going to hear taking place in terms of like you would a gunshot or an active shooter with a firearm. You're obviously going to hear the shots, and they're going to sound like firecrackers or balloons popping. So as far as the weapon itself, you're not going to hear any clues as far as that's concerned. So what we have to focus on and be listening for at this point is commotion that is outside the ordinary for the malls. Maybe it's yelling, maybe it's screaming, maybe we see a group of people down a long aisleway that's running towards us, and obviously that's not typical behavior. What we're looking for as far as behavior of the people that are maybe the victims of the current attack is behavior that's not typical, and for that location is that behavior normal? Running in a mall is typically not normal for a mall. So with this type of attack, what we had here was an ideological attacker. We had a guy that was going up and asking people before he attempted to stab them if they were Muslim or not. So that kind of falls in the category of the ideological attacker, not the traditional type of active threat attacker. So in this particular case, again, the 3 outs are going to apply. I either got to lock out, get out, or take out, depending on my location in relation to the threat. For most people, and I know in the mall there, what one of the stores did is they immediately closed the gates on their store. So maybe trying to get into a store and help them close their gates so we can prevent access to the attacker would be a good solution for that sort of indication. So, but again, almost all bad acts are preceded by bad body language. So that's why we got to look for those events and those behaviors that are outside of the ordinary and that are abnormal based on the location that we find ourselves.
Excellent thoughts. I know I've found myself as more and more of these events come up, whether they're in a workplace or in a retail situation or something going out on a city street, is still enjoying the event, whatever it is, but being aware of surroundings.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets confused that you think, well, I can't even focus and enjoy the event. Well, we're big believers that you can do both. Just spending just a little bit of time paying attention to your surroundings. And one of the things that we say frequently is awareness is so critical that you will win 100% of the engagements or crises that you don't get into through having a good sense of awareness. And there's really very little else that we can teach you that will give you 100%. But 100% of those engagements that you don't get into is something we can let you know through good awareness.
Well, that's what we want. And I appreciate your insights today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, best of luck to you out on the road, and thanks for keeping us up to date with current events. And you can visit our website to learn how we can be a resource to you, your business, your church, or your school. And just look at the address on our screen. But we're at www.strategosintl.com.